Hello everybody, this is the Capitalist Games and welcome back to Dreadnought 101. Today we're gonna cover the module research and what the most modules mean on all the different kinds of ships. So I'll go to the hangar and I'll start out with the Corvette class and covering what the basics is for research. For the research, you got this little screen right here, which you can find by clicking this button. First you got your secondary weapon, your first slot of module, second slot, third slot, and fourth slot. In my case, I got most of these are still on 0.1, version 1 here. You can see this one is tier 2, tier 1, tier 2. You can see these little white things. It's also tier 2, and these ones, the white things you can see is tier 3. If you want to unlock a better ship, for example the Magius is a tier 3 Corvette, I first have to fully research the tier 2 Corvette before I can do that. And I have to do that by playing with the set tier 2 Corvette or using free experience, which can be which you can convert with using the Grey Box points, which are the premium currency. All the modules are bought using credits, which are the normal currency, which is obtained by just playing the game. Okay, first of all, the secondary weapons are just your auxiliary weapon systems, which you can use to cover up the weaknesses of your primary gun. For example, on the this guy, you got weapons that are medium range, high firepower, but they only have a limited traverse. So once you get you're probably gonna do a hit and run tactic, so you can do a strike run, you can fire and then you get a short range at the point where you cannot fire anymore. So there is where the beam turrets are coming in handy. They are short range, high power weapons. In this case there is no other one to research, but at higher tier vehicles, the higher the tier, the more options you get. So in this case you get the beam turrets upgrade. You can get the upgrade right here to get a little bit more damage, 130 extra DPS at average and 200 DPS at short range and plus 10 at maximum range, basically. First off, the first slot. The first slot on the Corvette's case is mobility or stealth, because in the later options you can get a cloaking device for the first slot, which is really nice to sneak up on enemies. In my case, I got a trust amplifier, which I showed off earlier in the gameplay episode. It amplifies the movement speed of your vehicle, and I just love it. The blink warp allows you to be similar to the afterburner system, where you can basically go forward, in this case 1200 meters, in a very short time, pretty much instantly, and have 10-second cooldown, so you can just jump around the map at a slightly higher speed. But I prefer the burst amplifier because it gives more speed at a more on-off system. Second unit is the torpedo weapons. Are rather short range, but they either carry damage, basically, or some kind of stasis or some kind of effect. In this case, you got the heavy torpedo, which deals up to 6500 damage on the tier 2 version, 6000 on tier 1. Or a drain torpedo, which can drain the energy of your enemy ship to prevent them to deploying their shields or weapons or movement speed boosters. Number 3 is mostly pulse or lasers, anti-laser systems. The pulses can have either the anti-missile system or a stasis, some kind of effect pulse. In this case, you got the disruptor pulse, which disrupts your module activation, so the enemies cannot no longer activate their modules, in this case for 6.5 seconds. Tier 4, the 4th slot is the internal slots. They give either mobility or some kind of health. This in this case auto repair, as you can see, can give your repairs your own ship. Or the afterburner, which is similar to blink warp, that you can get a boost of movement speed for small duration with a pretty short cooldown. Next up are the destroyers. Go to research tree. Here you got your weapons. Secondary weapon, in this case we got the flak turrets. Flak turrets are powerful short range weapons. Your 2000 DPS, but only has 4 shots and a rather long reload time. I do want to point out that you can reload your weapons while firing your other guns, so you can better shoot these ones empty and then immediately switch down to your primary weapon and shoot those. So the first shot on the destroyer is purely damage, missiles or torpedoes. You got the Goliath torpedo, which is a nuke torpedo, deals 13,000 damage, which is insane. But it has an 80% cooldown, it's very slow traveling, and it's easily dodged. Tempest missiles are automatically seeking missiles, dealing 11,000 damage. It's a little bit lower, but they are counterable, while the Goliath is almost unstoppable. Secondary shot as torpedoes and utility torpedoes, again similar to the corvette ones. You've got a train torpedo and normal torpedoes instead of a heavy torpedo. Third one, well, actually the third one is officially called the perimeter module. In this case we got the Protean autocans, which will automatically fire at targets similar to the Caucasus of Crossout, but it has very short range, only 1400 meters on the tier 2 one and 1200 on the tier 1 one. Also got perimeter modules such as booster pulse, in which booster pulses are targets self and allies instead of enemies. This one increased the weapon's damage with 75% for at an 800 meter radius around the allies, and duration is 10 seconds. Which really can get your damage output. Fourth is the module, we got a module reboot, which lowers the module cooldown time on your own module. So after activating, for example, your drain torpedo, Goliath torpedo, so no more shields on the enemy and a very highly damaging weapon, you can pop the reboot and fire them pretty much. Actually, this one has a 50-second cooldown, so this cooldown will go down to 30 seconds instead, which is pretty nuts. Here we got jump drive. Jump drives can get you from point A to point B really fast. And this one doesn't have any target, so it will simply warp you forward, similar to the Corvette one. It has a longer cooldown with more range. And again, you can research vehicles at the later tier. Next up, we got the tactical cruisers. Tactical cruisers research. We got normal weapons. You got mainly the Tesla turret is the most notorious one. It's short range, high power. It gives you a good beam weapon for the for damaging. When you got the Koshie class, which cannot damage, although you can in the Kataro type ones, you can you're most of the time better off using your Kataro's main gun because it deals more damage most of the time. Anyway, for the first slots are either beam modifiers or offensive pod deployers. The beam amplifiers can amplify your output or give a special effect to your beam weapon. For example, know one which is called the Stasis Beam, which will slow down the enemy when fired at when you're firing at them, which does really help. It can down you to like 60 or less percent movement speed. Also, the damage output booster, or in this case with the pods, you can deploy an automatic sentry similar to the Crossout turrets, and this one deals damage. 650 per second, 1000 spot range, so it's a little bit of a trap. If they do not notice it, it can do some decent damage. Repair pod is the same as the coil pod, but it has pulses, pulse radius like of 800 meters, and it will heal allies per pulse, so it can heal multiple allies at the same time if they're close together. Also, the secondary also gives you the option to pretty much convert to an offensive one with the flechette half batteries, which are tiny sets of rockets. They're literally half the versions of the ones that are on the Dreadnought, so you can get some pretty offensive corvettes that can hunt. Tactical cruisers that can hunt corvettes with these. Auto beams or blast pulses or anti-missile lasers are the ones that you found on tier 3. The auto beams are similar to the auto guns on the destroyer, but it heals instead of damaging. Well, the blast pulse is a pulse that deals damage against all enemies in 800 meter radius, with 900 damage, and the gauge of this tier 2 one. Internal modules or auto repair energy generators are basically things to boost yourself, or something like a target warp, so you can warp to allies, which is really nice. Those are the ones you can get on that one. Also, if you are further down the line, you get more research options. For example, I only got in the tier 2 version, you only have 2 options. Well, while in the tier 1 version right here, I'm not sure if I can open it right here, you only have 1 option in each one. You can get from standard ones to tier 1 versions. But at the tier 2 one, right here, nav, research. You can see you got the tier 2 items. I can also show you how exactly I do the research thing is done. Get the card here, research, and you buy the part. In this case, I got the plasma broadside number 2. As you can see here, you got this little line combined to the tier 1 and the slot 1 and slot 2 for the nuclear missile. The nuclear missile is a primary module, as you can see, your secondary module under the name, and it fits on the tier 1 line basically, and you need to research both the tier 2 as the slot 2 as slot 1 lines before you can unlock this one. In the case of the Dreadnoughts, the first slots are some kind of broadside or most likely nuclear weapons. Nuclear missile launches a nuke upwards and will drop down on the enemy group, so if it's there underneath something, do not shoot it because it's the waste of the nuke. The plasma broadsides are, or other broadside types. In my case, for example, the tier 2, gotta grab my Morningstar PCF here. You can see Scattergun broadside. It's a different one. It's only obtainable by the PCF Morningstar on the tier 2. Later on you can unlock it at like tier 3 or tier 4. But those broadsides have a consistent damage output, but they are at medium range. They're more like auxiliary guns, similar to the repeater guns. Not really that much special anything about it, in my opinion. Secondary slots are the missiles. They are in a similar fashion as the first slot missiles of the destroyers. Although you do not carry any nukes or whatever in the tier slot 2, only it's multiple types of missiles, only long range missiles or short range swarm missiles. Tier 3, anti-missile lasers, auto guns, like defensive perimeter weapons. You do not really have any pulses with this. The only one you get is the armor booster pulse, which will give a damage reduction bonus similar to the shield system to all allies in a radius, similar to the way you get the armor amplifier right here, damage resistance increase, but this one targets yourself for 50 seconds. Here we got the warp jump. It's a pretty common one as well. Most builds, most ship types get the warp jump, but the since the Dreadnoughts are mostly armor focused, you get those armor amplifiers, which are really sweet. Again, get this research tree right there. And for the fourth one, I will have to take a look if I got it right here. Yeah, got it through, yeah. Research. Of course, these ships are very long range, so the standard secondary gun, the light flak turrets, which are the short range shotgun style weapons, are the ones that are favorable most of the time, because the other guns are more range weapons, although you can use the long range one. I think it's the bolt blaster you get then, and you fire your main guns, and when you're reloading your main guns, you can or main gun, if you have only one shot, in this case you get 10 rounds with the Nox class. But if you only have one round, like the other two, you can fire those while reloading. First one is either a catapult system or a main gun amplifier system. You got, for example, the siege mode, which will force you to stop and deplete your entire energy, but you get a very powerful rapid fire gun in return. in my PCF Silesia. I'll have to swap this one out for the Silesia then. There we go. There it is. This one has, for example, the rapid fire mode, which increases the rate of fire by 80% for 3 seconds. This only really works on the Nox class one, so I do not advise getting this one on any of the other two. I have to switch back to the other one for the research tree again. There we go. So the catapults themselves, they're basically they deploy bombs. They throw a bomb, get a catapult and bomb group. They're basically non-guided rockets, basically. Also, there's a version which is the sentry catapult, which deploys the little sentry pods, similar to the pods of the Taco Cruiser. But these ones can be deployed at an insane range. I mean, these ones have 14,000 range. It's the only weapon that has like more than. There's only of the few weapons that have more than 7,000 kilometer range. So it's a really, really dangerous weapon. But of course, if you're gonna fire at someone like that range, they can very easily dodge it. It's more of an area denial system, the bomb catapult, than the actual damaging module, because nobody's gonna stick around for that 19,500 damage at medium to long range. Second slot are either defensive missile pods for against corvettes, or long-range assistance missiles, such as the Stasis missile. The Stasis missile will limit the possibility of the enemy escaping, because it will slow down the movement speed, in this case 80% of the enemy, and prevent them from getting away, so it's easier to snipe them. There's 12 kilometer range, so it's also a really long range missile. While the Facette ones only have 2.4 kilometers, and the main gun only has 7 kilometers range. You got anti-missile lasers and light autoguns for the perimeter modules. I would go for the anti-missile lasers because they can protect you against some of the missiles the Corvette shoots if one attacks, but it's better to just know your surroundings and notice that Corvette before it gets close to you, instead of trying to save yourself with something like that. Therefore, you've got your first cloaking system right here, the mobile cloak. The mobile cloak is gives you a medium cloak quality. Medium cloak quality is still slightly visible, but if you're standing still, you are pretty much invisible. You also have a light cloak, which has like lightning going through it, so you're pretty much visible like normally, but you are invisible for the radar, so you can sneak up behind somebody with it. Well, the heavy cloak makes you entirely invisible. If you get shot, or if you fire weapons or use your modules, you do break the cloak. But also you have to take in consideration that the medium cloaks have a medium duration, the light ones have a long duration, and the heavy ones have a short duration, basically. Also got something like dive maneuver, which basically boosts your movement speed downwards, similar to the afterburner of the Corvette, but downwards instead of forwards. Again, you got your tier 3 vehicles. Every time I will unlock a new vehicle, I will go over the newly unlocked research parts. So this amount of information will be slightly getting expanded over time. But for now, these are all the ones that I got confirmed myself, because I'm not sure if the other ones are still around, because it's been a long time since I played, so I'm not really sure of that everything right there. Anyway, that concludes the guide concludes this guide. So I will stick up these games, and I will see you guys all later. Bye bye.